Close your eyes and imagine standing on a shoreline 180 million years ago. The sand beneath your feet is warm, the air thick with humidity. Behind you, forests of conifers and cycads stretch toward mountains that don't exist in your world. And in the water before you, something surfaces. A neck as long as a telephone pole, topped with a head no bigger than a horse's, belonging to a creature that weighs as much as 10 elephants. This is the Jurassic Period, spanning 56 million years of Earth's history, from 201 million years ago to 145 million years ago. To put that in perspective, all of human civilization fits into the last 10,000 years. The Jurassic lasted 5,600 times longer than that. It was an age so vast that species arose, dominated, and went extinct entirely within it, never knowing the dinosaurs that came before or after. The Jurassic was when dinosaurs went from survivors to rulers, from marginal creatures to undisputed masters of every continent. It was the age of giants, Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, Apatosaurus. But it wasn't just about size. While giants browsed the treetops, armored dinosaurs like Stegosaurus defended themselves with tail spikes. In the oceans, reptiles evolved into dolphins before dolphins existed. Pterosaurs mastered the skies, and Archaeopteryx took the first steps toward becoming every bird you see today. This was a world before flowers, before grass. The forests were green in ways you wouldn't recognize. Cycads that looked like palms but weren't, conifers towering overhead, ginkgos and ferns creating an understory that belonged to science fiction. And yet this world worked, supporting food webs as complex as anything today. The Jurassic didn't begin with triumph. It began with catastrophe, one of the worst extinction events in Earth's history, marked by volcanic eruptions so massive they split a supercontinent apart. 201 million years ago, the late Triassic world was ruled by pseudosuchians, relatives of modern crocodiles that had evolved into an astonishing variety of forms. Some walked on two legs, others were armored herbivores, still others were swift predators. These animals had dominated for tens of millions of years. Dinosaurs existed, but were marginal players, small to medium-sized animals occupying niches the pseudosuchians hadn't filled. Then, the world began to tear itself apart. Deep beneath the surface, a massive upwelling of hot material pushed against the crust, and Pangaea, the supercontinent that had dominated the planet for over 100 million years, began to fracture along what would become the Atlantic Ocean. The result was the Central Atlantic Magmatic Province, or CAMP, catastrophic beyond any scale you can easily imagine. This wasn't a single volcano. It was an entire region vomiting magma for hundreds of thousands of years. The total volume erupted was enough to bury the entire continental United States under more than 200 meters of molten rock. But the lava wasn't the main killer. The gases were, particularly carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide, released in quantities that fundamentally altered the atmosphere and climate. CAMP released approximately 100,000 gigatons of carbon dioxide. Humans have released about 2,000 gigatons since the Industrial Revolution. CAMP released 50 times more. Global temperatures spiked by 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, and this wasn't gradual. This was rapid on geological timescales, happening over thousands of years. Tropical regions became uninhabitable for many species. But sulfur dioxide created volcanic winters, periods when the sun was dimmed and global temperatures plummeted. These temperature swings whipsawed ecosystems between extreme heat and sudden cold. The oceans suffered catastrophe too. Carbon dioxide dissolved in seawater, forming carbonic acid and lowering ocean pH. This acidification made it impossible for many organisms to build shells. Coral reefs collapsed, ammonites saw massive die-offs, mercury released during eruptions spread globally, adding toxic stress to organisms already struggling. The extinction was one of the largest in Earth's history. Approximately 76% of all species disappeared. The large terrestrial pseudoseuchians went extinct. Many marine reptiles vanished, but extinction is never complete. Small dinosaurs survived. Their small size was an advantage. They needed less food, could shelter more easily, had shorter generation times. Early mammals survived, already adapted to living on the margins. Some marine reptiles made it through. Around 201 million years ago, the eruptions stopped. The atmosphere cleared, temperatures moderated. Ocean chemistry began returning to normal. The world entered the early Jurassic with empty niches and opportunities for survivors to radiate into forms that hadn't been possible before. The world that emerged was quieter, emptier. The early Jurassic, from 201 to 175 million years ago, was a time of rebuilding. The climate was initially unstable, experiencing the early Jurassic cool interval between 199 and 183 million years ago, when temperatures were lower than in the late Triassic. But gradually, the planet warmed, and by the middle of the early Jurassic, conditions were becoming stable and consistently warm and humid. Pangea continued breaking apart. The central Atlantic Ocean widened by centimeters per year. Not much, but over millions of years, centimeters accumulate into hundreds of kilometers. Sea levels rose as the new ocean basin filled, and shallow seas began flooding continental edges, creating extensive coastal environments perfect for life recovering from extinction. In the oceans, life recovered slowly. Ammonites began diversifying again from the handful of surviving lineages. Marine reptiles were success stories. Ichthyosaurs, which had barely survived, began diversifying rapidly with different body sizes and hunting strategies. Plesiosaurs made their first significant appearance, evolving their classic body plan: long neck, small head, 4 large flippers. On land, the transformation was dramatic. The pseudoseuchians were gone, and dinosaurs found themselves in a world with unprecedented opportunities. The early Jurassic was when dinosaurs stopped being marginal and started becoming dominant. The theropods, bipedal carnivorous dinosaurs, capitalized first. Dilophosaurus, one of the best-known early Jurassic predators, reached 6 meters in length and weighed perhaps 400 kilograms. It had distinctive paired crests on its skull and jaws filled with teeth, suited for grasping and tearing flesh. Herbivorous dinosaurs evolved rapidly too. The prosauropods were transitioning into true sauropods. This transition was gradual, with intermediate forms showing mixed characteristics. These early sauropods were experimenting with the body plan that would produce the largest land animals: long necks, columnar legs, small heads, but they hadn't reached gigantic proportions yet. Early Jurassic sauropods were perhaps 10 to 15 meters long, large by their standards but modest compared to what was coming. The forests were dominated by gymnosperms. Conifers created canopy layers. Cycads grew in understory areas. Ginkgos were diverse and widespread. Ferns filled the forest floor. There were no flowering plants yet. Angiosperms wouldn't evolve for another 70 million years. If you could walk through an early Jurassic forest, you'd recognize it as a forest, but wouldn't recognize any individual plants. The absence of flowers and fruits would make it feel alien, despite its structural familiarity. By the end of the early Jurassic, dinosaurs were undisputed rulers of the land. The age of dinosaurs had truly begun, though even the largest animals were still small compared to the giants that were beginning to evolve, the massive sauropods that would define the Jurassic. There is something fundamentally astonishing about sauropods. These were animals that weighed as much as 10 to 15 African elephants, stood as tall as a 4-story building, measured the length of a basketball court from nose to tail. And they did all this on land, where gravity pulls relentlessly downward. The question that has fascinated paleontologists for over a century is, how did sauropods get so big? The answer is a perfect storm of adaptations, each removing a constraint that would have limited size in other lineages. Start with the respiratory system. Modern birds have a breathing mechanism fundamentally different from yours. Instead of lungs that inflate and deflate, birds have rigid lungs connected to air sacs extending throughout their bodies, even into their bones. When a bird breathes, air flows through the lungs in one direction, and the air sacs ensure fresh oxygenated air is constantly moving across respiratory surfaces. This is far more efficient than the mammalian system. Sauropods had this same system, inherited from their dinosaur ancestors long before they evolved gigantic size. The evidence is in their bones, which show the same pneumatic features, hollow spaces connected to air sacs that characterize bird skeletons. This meant sauropods could process oxygen more efficiently than a mammal of equivalent size. And when you're talking about an animal that might weigh 50 tons, efficiency matters enormously. Those hollow bones served another function. They reduced weight without sacrificing strength. A sauropod vertebra might be the size of a kitchen chair, but much of its interior was air rather than solid bone. The bone that remained was precisely arranged in stress-bearing structures, leaving hollow spaces everywhere else. This pneumaticity could reduce skeletal weight by half or more, which meant a 50-ton sauropod wasn't carrying a 10-ton skeleton. It was carrying perhaps 5 tons of bone filled with air. Then there's the neck. Long necks created access to food other herbivores couldn't reach, allowing sauropods to browse high in the canopy while standing on the ground. But long necks create engineering challenges. The farther the head from the center of mass, the more leverage it exerts, and the stronger neck muscles and vertebrae must be. Sauropods solved this through pneumatic vertebrae keeping the neck light and through structural innovations. The neck bones weren't simple cylinders. They were complex structures with projections and flanges serving as attachment points for massive ligaments and muscles. Some vertebrae had elongated neural spines providing leverage for muscles that held the neck up. Neck posture probably varied by species. Brachiosaurus seems suited to holding its neck at a steep angle, reaching up like a giraffe. Diplodocus probably held its neck more horizontally, sweeping from side to side to graze on low vegetation. But all that food had to be processed, and here sauropods employed a counterintuitive strategy. They didn't chew. Their teeth were simple tools for cropping vegetation. Food went from mouth to stomach with minimal processing, and the stomach did the rest using gastroliths, stomach stones, to grind plant material and bacteria to ferment it. This meant sauropods could eat quickly, processing enormous volumes with minimal time spent chewing. A modern elephant can spend 16 hours a day eating, and elephants chew thoroughly. A sauropod could probably harvest the same nutrition in less time because it wasn't bothering with chewing. The teeth wore down rapidly, but sauropods replaced them continuously throughout life. Nigersaurus replaced each tooth every 14 days. Diplodocus replaced teeth every 35 days. This continuous replacement meant sauropods always had functional teeth. The herbivorous diet itself was crucial. plants are abundant and easier to harvest in bulk than hunting prey. For an animal as large as a sauropod, hunting would have been energetically impossible. But standing in one place and methodically stripping leaves from trees was efficient, sustainable. Size provided advantages beyond food access. Large animals have proportionately lower metabolic rates. They need less food per kilogram of body weight and lose heat more slowly. Predators that might attack a juvenile would be deterred by a full-grown adult simply because the size difference made the adult invulnerable. Perhaps most important was timing and environment. Sauropods evolved during the Jurassic, when global temperatures were warm, plant productivity was high, there were no ice caps, and vegetation grew year-round in many regions. This was a world with abundant food and climates that didn't require long migrations or enduring scarcity. The result was the most spectacular assemblage of giant animals the world has ever seen. Brachiosaurus, reaching 16 meters into the canopy, Diplodocus, stretching 27 meters from nose to tail, Apatosaurus, weighing perhaps 25 tons, Camarasaurus, the most common sauropod in many late Jurassic formations. These weren't exceptions. They were the dominant herbivores of their time. The Middle Jurassic world, from roughly 175 to 162 million years ago, was uniquely suited to supporting these herbivores. If you could walk through a Middle Jurassic forest, you'd recognize the concept of forest, the vertical structure of canopy and understory and forest floor. But you wouldn't recognize a single plant species, wouldn't see a single flower, wouldn't find a single fruit. The flowering plants that define your experience of nature hadn't evolved yet. The Middle Jurassic was a world of gymnosperms. Conifers dominated many landscapes, their needle-like or scale-like leaves adapted to conserve water. Some were relatives of modern groups like pines and araucarias. They grew tall, creating canopy layers that filtered sunlight. The Araucaria family, which today includes the monkey puzzle tree and a handful of other species, was far more diverse and widespread in the Jurassic. Beneath the conifer canopy, cycads created their own distinctive layer. These plants look superficially like palms with a central trunk topped by a crown of large leaves. But they're not palms. Palms are flowering plants that wouldn't evolve for another 70 million years. Cycads are gymnosperms, more closely related to conifers and ginkgos. In the Jurassic, cycads were astonishingly diverse and abundant. Fossils show species ranging from low-growing plants, barely half a meter tall, to tree-like forms reaching 10 meters or more. They grew in understory habitats, where the conifer canopy filtered out direct sunlight, but also colonized open areas, forming cycad savannas in regions where tree cover was sparse. Ginkgos were another major component, particularly at higher latitudes. Today, Ginkgo biloba is the sole survivor of its lineage, a single species kept alive largely through human cultivation. But in the Jurassic, ginkgos were diverse and common, with multiple species occupying different ecological niches. They grew alongside conifers, their deciduous leaves falling in seasonal patterns. The fact that ginkgos were deciduous tells us something important. Even though the world was generally warm and lacked ice caps, there were still seasonal variations that plants responded to. Ferns filled the understory beneath cycads and ginkgos. Tree ferns were common, their trunks formed from densely packed root material supporting crowns of large fronds. Tree ferns could reach 10 meters or more and required constant moisture to thrive. The overall structure depended on latitude and local climate. In equatorial regions where rainfall was abundant and temperatures consistently warm, forests were probably dense and multi-layered, with tall conifers forming a high canopy, cycads and tree ferns creating a middle layer, and smaller ferns carpeting the ground. At higher latitudes with more seasonal variation, forests were probably more open, with conifers and ginkgos dominating and understory vegetation less dense. The absence of flowering plants meant no grasses forming meadows, no broad-leaved deciduous trees like maples or oaks, no flowers attracting pollinators, no fruits. Instead, pollination was accomplished by wind, with conifers and cycads and ginkgos releasing pollen into the air. This is energetically expensive. Plants must produce enormous quantities of pollen, but it works. This vegetation supported herbivore populations that exceeded anything the modern world has seen. The sauropods required enormous quantities of plant material, and the fact that they thrived and diversified tells us the Middle Jurassic world was productive enough to meet their needs. Forests regrew quickly after being browsed, and the warm climate with abundant rainfall meant plant growth was continuous, or nearly so across much of the year. Abundant vegetation creates abundant herbivores, and abundant herbivores attract predators. The Middle Jurassic world was also home to a diversifying assemblage of theropods, bipedal carnivorous dinosaurs ranging from animals barely larger than a chicken to apex predators capable of bringing down prey many times their own size. The theropods were one of evolution's most successful experiments in predation, a body plan that worked so well it persisted for over 160 million years and ultimately gave rise to birds. The basic theropod body plan was established in the Triassic, bipedal locomotion freeing the forelimbs for grasping and attacking, the long tail counterbalancing the weight of the body and head, the large skull with jaws filled with teeth designed for cutting and tearing flesh. By the late Jurassic, the most successful predator was Allosaurus fragilis, an animal that has become iconic in paleontology. Allosaurus wasn't the largest theropod that would ever evolve, but for its time and place, it was perfectly adapted, supremely successful, the dominant carnivore in late Jurassic North America. An adult Allosaurus measured roughly 8.5 to 9 meters from nose to tail and weighed between 1 and 2 tons, comparable in size to a modern white rhinoceros, though built for entirely different purposes. The skull was the killing tool, magnificently engineered for its purpose. Large openings reduced weight without sacrificing strength, and the jaws could open to nearly 90 degrees. The teeth were serrated on both edges like steak knives, curved slightly backward to prevent prey from pulling free. These weren't designed to crush bone. They were precision-cutting tools capable of slicing through flesh and opening wounds that would weaken prey, even if the initial attack didn't kill immediately. Some researchers suggest Allosaurus used its upper jaw like a hatchet, opening wide and driving the upper jaw down onto prey with neck muscle force, creating deep wounds through impact rather than sustained biting pressure. The forelimbs were short compared to the massive hind legs, but far from vestigial. Each arm ended in a 3-fingered hand tipped with large curved claws, and the shoulder joint allowed considerable range of motion. These were weapons and grappling tools used to hold prey and maintain grip during attacks. The hind legs were where real power resided, massive muscular limbs supporting the entire weight and providing acceleration needed to chase down prey. Allosaurus wasn't built for marathon running, but it could probably manage impressive bursts of speed over short distances. The abundance of Allosaurus fossils is remarkable. The Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry in Utah has yielded remains from at least 46 individual Allosaurus. Fossil evidence shows Allosaurus bite marks on sauropod bones, proof they at least scavenged dead sauropods and probably attacked living ones. But adult sauropods were enormous, weighing 10 to 20 times more than the largest Allosaurus. The most likely scenario is that Allosaurus primarily targeted juveniles, sick individuals, or adults weakened by age. Allosaurus wasn't alone. Ceratosaurus coexisted in North America, recognizable by its prominent horn and more robust build. Torvosaurus was the giant, approaching 10 meters in length. Medium-sized theropods hunted smaller prey, and small theropods the size of dogs were fleet-footed hunters of insects and small vertebrates. Not all herbivores relied on size for protection. Stegosaurus combined moderate size with armor plating and weaponry that could make even the largest predators think twice. A typical adult measured around 9 meters from nose to tail and weighed about 5 tons. The hind legs were substantially longer than the front, giving it a distinctive posture with the head carried relatively low. The plates are what makes Stegosaurus immediately recognizable. The largest could measure over 60 centimeters tall, rising in 2 alternating rows from behind the skull to the base of the tail. They were made of bone covered by keratin and filled with blood vessels forming intricate networks. The question is, what were these plates for? As armor, they seem poorly designed, not particularly thick and positioned along the top, rather than the sides where a predator would attack. An alternative hypothesis suggests thermoregulation, using the plates as radiators or solar panels. The blood vessel networks support this. A third hypothesis suggests display. The plates could have served as visual signals to other Stegosaurus. The current consensus is that the plates probably served multiple functions simultaneously. Thermoregulation, while also serving as display structures. The thagomizer, however, was unambiguous, a weapon, pure and simple. 4 spikes at the end of the tail, each measuring up to 1 meter in length, capable of being swung with considerable force. We know it was used defensively because we have direct evidence. An Allosaurus vertebra with a puncture wound that matches perfectly with a Stegosaurus tail spike. The wound had begun to heal, indicating the Allosaurus survived, but it must have been extraordinarily painful. While armored dinosaurs defended themselves with spikes and sauropods relied on size, ornithopods pursued a different strategy. These bird-footed dinosaurs combined moderate size with speed, agility, and sophisticated social behavior, a survival strategy based on vigilance, mobility, and safety in numbers. Ornithopods were bipedal herbivores, walking on their hind legs. This body plan gave them advantages quadrupedal herbivores lacked, particularly the ability to scan their surroundings from an elevated position and accelerate quickly when danger approached. Camptosaurus was among the most successful, growing to 6 to 7 meters in length and weighing perhaps half a ton. The skull shows innovations that would reach full expression in later ornithopods. The front of the jaw formed a beak for cropping vegetation, while teeth farther back provided surfaces for processing plant material. The ability to chew, even primitively, gave ornithopods access to tougher plant material. Evidence for social behavior comes from multiple lines. Fossil trackways show groups moving together. Bone beds contain multiple individuals of different ages, suggesting mixed-age herding. The logic makes sense. In a group, vigilance can be shared, creating a network of awareness that makes it harder for predators to approach undetected. When an alarm sounds, the group response creates confusion for predators. Dryosaurus was smaller at 3 to 4 meters in length and perhaps weighing 100 kilograms. This smaller size came with advantages in speed and agility. Triasaurus was built for running, with long hind limbs suggesting impressive speeds over short distances. While dinosaurs diversified across continents, the oceans were experiencing their own evolutionary explosion. Marine reptiles had evolved into forms as diverse as anything on land. Three major groups dominated: ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, and pliosaurs. Ichthyosaurs, fish lizards, had taken convergent evolution with dolphins to remarkable extremes. The body was streamlined and torpedo-shaped, and the eyes were enormous. Ophthalmosaurus had eyes measuring 23 centimeters in diameter, indicating diving behavior into depths where vision was the primary sense. The largest ichthyosaurs approached 12 meters in length. They were viviparous, giving birth to live young tail first, just as dolphins are today. Plesiosaurs represented a completely different approach. The classic plesiosaur had a small head on a long neck extending from a broad body propelled by 4 large flippers. This bizarre body plan was actually effective. The long neck allowed the head to reach prey while the body remained stable. The teeth were long, sharp, and interlocking, designed to trap small, slippery prey. The 4-flipper system is unique among vertebrates, probably used in a flying motion underwater. Pliosaurs were plesiosaurs that had evolved short necks and enormous heads, some exceeding 2 meters in length. These were apex predators that hunted other large marine reptiles. The skull was massively constructed with powerful jaw muscles. Some pliosaurs reached 12 to 15 meters, making them among the largest predators of the Jurassic in any environment. Seas and land were conquered, but one realm remained largely empty: the sky. Pterosaurs were the first vertebrates to master the air. For over 160 million years, they were the dominant flying animals. Pterosaurs were not dinosaurs. The most obvious difference was wing structure. Bird wings are built from feathers. Pterosaur wings were membranes stretched between an enormously elongated 4th finger and the body. This membrane contained muscle fibers providing structural support and allowing the pterosaur to adjust wing shape during flight. The 4th finger was extraordinarily long and composed of hollow pneumatic bones. Jurassic pterosaurs ranged from animals barely larger than sparrows to creatures with wingspans approaching 4 meters. Rhamphorhynchus had long tails with diamond-shaped veins at the tip that acted as rudders. Pterodactylus represented the short-tailed forms that would eventually dominate. The skull was lightweight engineering with paper-thin bones. The eyes were large. The brain showed expansion of areas associated with vision and motor control, indicating considerable intelligence. Discovery of pycno fibers, hair-like structures covering the body, proved pterosaurs were likely warm-blooded. Recent studies suggest large pterosaurs used all 4 limbs for launching, essentially pole vaulting using their wings as arms. In 1861, workers quarrying limestone in Bavaria discovered a fossil feather from the late Jurassic. Within months, the first complete skeleton of Archaeopteryx emerged. Here was an animal that was both bird and reptile. It had feathers and wings, but also teeth and a long bony tail. Archaeopteryx was roughly comparable to a modern raven, with a body length of about 50 centimeters and a wingspan of approximately 70 centimeters. The feathers are crucial evidence. They were asymmetrical flight feathers with the same structure you'd find on a modern bird, specifically adapted for generating lift. The wing retained 3 separate fingers, each tipped with a curved claw. The skull had teeth set in bony jaws. The tail was long and bony, composed of more than 20 vertebrae. The most recent analyses suggest Archaeopteryx was capable of powered flight. It could flap its wings and generate thrust, but wasn't capable of sustained flight over long distances. The flight style was probably burst-powered, using rapid wing beats to gain altitude for short periods. While pterosaurs ruled the skies and marine reptiles dominated the oceans, another group existed in the margins: mammals. The mammals of the Jurassic were small, inconspicuous creatures that lived in the literal and figurative shadows of the dinosaurs. Most weighed less than half a kilogram. Being nocturnal was one survival strategy. Dinosaurs were primarily diurnal, but mammals, with their warm-blooded metabolism and enhanced hearing and smell, could be active at night. The teeth show considerable diversity. Some had sharp teeth for catching insects, others had generalized teeth for omnivory. Discovery of well-preserved skulls revealed the three-bone middle ear system far more sensitive than reptiles possessed. The sense of smell was highly developed. Fur would have been essential for thermoregulation. The warm-blooded metabolism was both advantage and burden. It allowed activity regardless of temperature, but required constant fuel. The strategy of staying small and inconspicuous worked for over 100 million years, right up until the asteroid impact 66 million years ago. The small size that had been a constraint became an advantage, and within a few million years, mammals were radiating into the niches left vacant by dinosaurs. To understand where these animals lived, we have extraordinary windows. The Morrison Formation stretches across western North America, deposited over roughly 10 million years from about 156 to 147 million years ago. The environment was semi-arid with distinct wet and dry seasons. The geography was a vast lowland basin cut through by river systems. This mosaic supported remarkable diversity. Camarasaurus was the most abundant sauropod. Diplodocus was longer but lighter. Apatosaurus was more heavily built. Brachiosaurus browsed vegetation higher than any other. Allosaurus was by far the most common large theropod. Stegosaurus was the iconic armored herbivore. The Solnhofen limestone in Bavaria shows a very different environment. This formed in tropical lagoons where stratified water and fine sediments created exceptional preservation. A Lagerstätte capturing soft tissues, feathers, wing membranes. Rhamphorhynchus is beautifully preserved, but the most famous fossils are the 12 specimens of Archaeopteryx, all from this single formation. The Tendaguru Formation in Tanzania provides a southern perspective. German expeditions from 1909 to 1913 recovered over 225 tons of fossil material. Giraffatitan was the giant, comparable to Brachiosaurus. Dicraeosaurus was smaller with extraordinarily tall neural spines. Kentrosaurus was smaller than Stegosaurus but more heavily armed. The comparison reveals both similarities and differences. All show high dinosaur diversity with multiple sauropods coexisting alongside armored herbivores, ornithopods, and various theropods. This suggests the basic ecological structure was consistent across continents, but the specific species differed. The late Jurassic was the golden age of the dinosaurs. Diversity was at its highest point. This wasn't accidental. The climate was warm globally with no ice caps. The warm climate supported high vegetation productivity. Plants grew year-round, providing abundant food. This environmental complexity supported ecological complexity. Around 145 million years ago, the Jurassic began its transition into the Cretaceous. This wasn't a catastrophic boundary, but a gradual shift. Stegosaurs disappeared from North America. Some sauropod lineages went extinct while others continued. The theropods showed continuity more than dramatic change. Perhaps the most significant change was botanical. Flowering plants had not yet appeared during the Jurassic, but in the early Cretaceous, they began to appear and spread, eventually transforming ecosystems completely. The legacy of the Jurassic extends far beyond its boundaries. The dinosaurs would continue to dominate for another 80 million years. The birds that first appeared survived the asteroid impact and continue to thrive today. The mammals inherited the Earth, carrying forward adaptations evolved during the Mesozoic. The Jurassic proved that life could exist at scales that strain comprehension. The world was a world without grass, without flowers, yet it was a functional world operating according to the same principles that govern modern ecosystems. Rest now, knowing that the world you live in carries forward the legacy of the Jurassic. The birds outside your window are living dinosaurs. The continents beneath your feet are still drifting. The atoms in your body have cycled through countless organisms since the Jurassic ended. You are the product of survivors, of lineages that made it through catastrophes and climate swings. The Jurassic period was 56 million years long. All of human history is less than 1% of 1% of the duration of the Jurassic. And yet we can know about it, can reconstruct what lived and how it lived, can understand deep time through science and imagination working together. The past isn't truly past. It's preserved in rocks, encoded in DNA, visible in patterns of modern ecosystems. Sleep well, time traveler. Sleep well, descendant of mammals that survived by being patient. The Jurassic is over, but its echoes remain. Good night.